So Chris, I'm so excited that in April, we're going to have a group of scholars, PhD candidates, and people who are practitioners working in churches with youth come, and we're going to sit around the table and we're going to have a discussion about what it means for young people to flourish and what that looks like in the different sectors in the academy, in the church, in the community. And so this question, I know is not an easy question that I'm about to ask, but I really want to know, based on your experience, because you have a sort of a global perspective, or at least in your context, it's a global for different from our context. But what do you think is on the heart of God for us to be discussing in that room about young people, about youth ministry?
So let's try two things. Firstly, in what ways is youth ministry God's gift to the church? Again, so not a problem to be solved, not a quick, let's find a solution, but in what way is the particular things around what our responsibilities to serve and minister with young people, in what ways are these great gifts of God to the wider church? Because there is no church that doesn't need to ask these questions around young people. Again, and not simply because we're all going to be dead and who's going to be going to church, but primarily because of Jesus Christ and the love of Christ and the transforming power of that love in lives. It matters that people don't know Jesus, and it should matter to every single church that there are people in their locality who don't know Jesus Christ. And so I think the questions around youth ministry actually are a gift to the church, because what they do is they crystallize the wider questions that God is asking the church. And so I think, particularly for me, one of the things I learnt from Bonhoeffer, so in his Letters and Papers from Prison, in my version of it, I've got there's this essay called After 10 Years. And in After 10 Years, he talks about how the responsible Christian needs to live. And he talks about meeting somebody who said that their ambition in life was to be a saint. And he said he was impressed with them at first, and then he realized that they were trying to make something of themselves. And actually that wasn't the question for the Christian person. Wasn't how am I going to make something of themselves? And even for Bonhoeffer, how am I going to act in a way that is completely ethically in line with everything I've ever wanted to do? We know for him, the challenge of Christ meant he had to lay down his pacifism and take up the activism of trying to kill Hitler. But his question is, the question for the Christian is always, how's the coming generation going to live? Psalm 71, Psalm 78, do not forsake me when I am old or grey, that I may declare your praises to a generation yet unborn. How do we do that? What does that look like for us to take responsibility as this generation, not simply to shore it up for ourselves, not just to get what we want now, but as Christians, surely our eyes are on those who are behind us, those who will follow after us, that we can enable them to live Christ-like lives in this world in ways that are fully engaged with the world, fully engaged with Christ, and in God's great goodness, doing things that we never dreamed of, so that the prayers that I pray aren't time limited to my life, that the things I live for aren't simply the things that I have to see in my own lifetime. Because it would seem to me, again, throughout Christian history, is that very few people truly see the thing that they've ever wanted to see. So therefore it is about a generation yet unborn, and how we declare the praises of God to their generation, that they too then may declare the praises of God to the generation following them.